What are you doing?
We were just joking around.
Where's your friend? Where is she? Where's your friend?
The Lie stars Joey King, aka the girl from the kissing booth, as Kayla, a teenage girl who gets caught up in a murder when she intentionally kills her best friend in this wildly entertaining Amazon Prime thriller. So the movie starts by letting us know that Kayla's parents are divorced, and this clearly is affecting Kayla. We can tell that she does not like her father's new girlfriend. Kayla is 15 in the movie, but I felt like her parents were treating her like she was much younger and spoiling her a bit much. Maybe they were guilty about the divorce and the impact that it had on Kayla. Other than the dislike of her parents' divorce and being treated like she is younger than she is, she seems like pretty much a typical teenager. Kayla is a ballerina and she is set to attend a ballet retreat. Her father, Jay, is driving her to the ballet retreat when they spot Kayla's friend, Britt, standing at a bus stop in the middle of nowhere during a snowy winter. Kayla tells her dad that they have to pick up Britt, who is on her way to the same retreat, so he stops and offers Britt a ride, which she accepts. As soon as Britt gets into the car, she wastes no time coming on to Kayla's father. Kayla is very annoyed that Britt keeps flirting with her dad, so when she notices a bruise on Britt's face, she makes a snide comment, asking where she got the bruise from, but Britt blows it off. Britt eventually asks Kayla's father if he can pull over the car because she has to use the bathroom. Kayla's father does pull over the car, and Britt and Kayla go off into the woods. It's apparent that Kayla is going to use this opportunity to confront Britt about her inappropriately flirting with her dad. As the dad waits for the girls by the car, he hears a scream in the distance. He goes and finds Kayla, who is standing on a bridge above a large and fast-moving, rumbling river. She is terrified. It is revealed that Kayla pushed Britt off of the bridge and into the river. Immediately, Jay rushes down to the river and searches for Britt, to no avail. He can't find her anywhere. Jay confronts Kayla and she tells him that she pushed Britt off of the bridge on purpose because she was being a bitch. A car drives by and Kayla and Jay hide behind their own car before checking around to make sure that no one has seen them. They then leave the scene of the crime as if nothing happened. After the murder, Kayla begins to act a little strange, but weirdly unbothered. Kayla's dad and her mom, Rebecca, freak out about the murder and decide that they must do whatever it takes to protect their daughter from getting caught up in the murder. They decide to cover it up for her because they don't want her life ruined, even though Britt, who was Kayla's so-called best friend, is dead. Rebecca, who was not even at the scene of the murder, begins to be haunted by thoughts of Britt, but she pushes forward in covering up the murder. Kayla begins to act more and more bizarre, like she has not just killed someone. At one point, Rebecca demands to know from Jay why the girls were fighting in the car. She blames it all on him and asks him if they were fighting about him, bringing up the fact that Kayla had asked Jay earlier in the movie if he thought that Britt was pretty. I thought that this was a little weird, like, what is Rebecca trying to imply about Jay and his relationship with his daughter's teenage friend? Kayla overhears her parents talking about her as they argue over if she killed Britt intentionally or if it was an accident. Basically, they don't want to believe that their daughter is a murderer, even though she so clearly is. In an outburst, Kayla says that she did in fact do it on purpose and blames her father, who in return pushes her hard to the ground and then leaves in shame. Then things get super crazy when Britt's dad, Sam, goes over to Kayla's house looking for his daughter. Being that Britt was best friends with Kayla, he naturally wants to speak with Kayla's parents and see if they know where Britt is. Rebecca lies straight to this man's face and says that she does not know where Britt is and that Kayla never made it to the ballet retreat because she's been sick in the hospital. Sam, of course, believes this lie and tells her to have Kayla call him when she's feeling better. Rebecca breaks down in tears when Sam leaves. Jay and Rebecca devise a plan to cover up for Kayla. Meanwhile, Britt's dad is becoming more and more suspicious of the family's increasingly weird behavior. One morning, while Rebecca is at her car, Sam confronts her about Britt's whereabouts again and demands to speak with Kayla. Rebecca tells him that Kayla is in the hospital, but then Kayla comes out onto the porch and Sam can see that she is clearly not in the hospital. At this point, Sam says that he's going to the police. Desperate, Rebecca and Jay devise a plan to frame Sam for Britt's murder by making him out to be an abusive father. Rebecca, in panic mode, goes to the police department and speaks with a friend of hers, who is a detective, telling her that Sam came over to her house acting weird and that he scared her. Rebecca also tells the detective that she thinks that Sam abused Britt. Meanwhile, Kayla confides in her father that no one at school likes her and that none of the boys even look at her. Her father then asks her if that's why she pushed Britt off of the bridge. The detective comes over to the house and asks Kayla about Britt and about the abuse that Britt suffered. Kayla lies to the detectives and tells them not only that she was sick when Kayla went missing and that she did not attend the ballet retreat, but she also reinstates the lie that Britt's father was abusive by saying that he had a bad temper and that he also hit Britt a lot. Later, the detectives confront Sam. They start by asking him if he is Indian or Arab, which is obviously racist. I think that Kayla's family knew that they could use their white privilege to accuse Sam of being abusive towards his own daughter, because in this society it is much easier to discredit a man of color. The detectives begin to treat Sam like a criminal. They tell him that they need to speak with him, and eventually he agrees. Later on, the detectives tell Rebecca that none of the neighbors that they spoke to think that Sam is capable of being abusive. They also inform her that they traced Britt's cell phone to an apartment downtown. The male detective then insinuates that Jay had an inappropriate relationship with Britt. He even says that it wouldn't be hard to believe because Britt was, quote, pretty hot. I thought that this was a really creepy thing for the detective to say, even if he was trying to make a point. Kayla has a breakdown at home, screaming about what a terrible person she is, and her mother comforts her. Eventually, the detectives sit with Rebecca and Jay and ask them if Kayla and Britt ever fought. Rebecca says no. Then the detectives present emails of a recent fight that Kayla and Britt had, in which Kayla threatens to kill Britt for stealing her boyfriend. The parents act like the email is ridiculous at first and try to laugh it off, but the detectives have it all figured out and confront Rebecca and Jay, telling them that they know that Kayla and Jay were at the scene of the crime. They present evidence of Kayla's lost inhaler that was at the scene of the crime and tell them that a K-9 unit is searching the river for Britt's body and that it's only a matter of time before they find her. The parents, in one last desperate attempt, decide to set up Sam one last time by trying to bury Britt's cell phone in his yard later that evening. Britt's dad catches them in the act and demands that they tell him where Britt is. This leads to a fight, and the parents end up killing Britt's dad. This was, unbelievable. Like parents, like daughter. Anyways, it isn't long before the parents become more and more ravished with guilt and can barely function anymore. Meanwhile, Kayla is doing just fine, acting as if nothing has ever happened. Eventually, Rebecca and Jay go into the garage to clean the murder weapon, which was their car, and while cleaning the evidence away, they get quite the shock and a surprise twist that will shock audiences. The movie ends with police sirens blasting, seemingly coming to arrest the family. This movie was a really interesting and entertaining thriller, all about the lengths that parents will go to protect their children. It's pretty obvious that the parents in this movie did absolutely everything wrong. It does not appear that Kayla has ever had any discipline a day in her life, and that she was spoiled and treated like a child by both parents. Kayla clearly should have been made to own up to her criminal behavior. As soon as Jay knew that Kayla pushed Britt, he should have called the police. Instead, the parents tried to cover up a murder for their daughter and only ended up getting in way too deep in a murder that they did not even have to be a part of. What are some other great thriller movies that center around girls or women that you think are great? Drop them in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe to this channel.